Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast. It's time for episode 9 of Just Take 3 with me, Andrew Musgrove, and
Me, Sam Mulliner.
we're well. You good?
Yeah, I like the fact that we've tuned into we're really in tune with the show's format now. We have 5 to 10 minutes of bants and then crack on with the three choices.
Yeah, warming up nicely for today's episode. For those who are new to the format, it's very, very simple. You've crash landed on a desert island, but somehow you have the ability to watch highlight reels of certain Newcastle United legends, goals, matches, what have you. And this week's topic is another absolute brilliant one. It's going to cause a lot of debate, I think, in the comments. So make sure you do get in those comments and let us know what your choices would be and what you've made of ours. Sam, what is this week's category?
Well, you chose it, and now you've skipped over the 5 to 10 minutes banter that I said we always have now. You've decided to abandon that to make me look stupid, and then you want to crack on all of a sudden.
No, I
You
mean
got somewhere to be.
the banter doesn't have to start at the start. It can come throughout. And I was just letting people know who might be new to the show, who aren't aware of our banterous beginnings of the episode, what it was all about. I mean, this week's category.
Did you go to the Wolves game?
No, I did not. I mean, you were there. I've seen the vlogs. I've seen the
Have you?
vlogs of you celebrating the goals.
I had a great day. Well, I say I had a great day. Poor, poor crack from the city of Wolverhampton and Wolverhampton Wanderers. Um, no away fan pub. Away fans were not allowed anywhere at all in the whole city of Wolverhampton. They weren't welcome anywhere. Weren't welcome in the fan zone, which I've been in previous years with no issue whatsoever. But away fans weren't welcome anywhere. So I know there are a lot of Toon fans who were scattered around the West Midlands pre-match. Some were in Birmingham, some were in Bloxwich, Stafford, Telford. I thought that was really, really poor of Wolves. Really poor. Um, just imagine if we did. Just imagine if we did that. I know the Stack don't welcome away fans on match days, but there's how many pubs within a mile radius of St James's Park? 200 odd. Can you imagine if we did that? And
Well, that's why away fans love coming to Newcastle, isn't it? Because we're so welcoming and we let them into the majority of bars. I think there's only two that don't allow away fans in. You've mentioned the Stack, and then I think there's another one just down the road by the gate there. But yeah, that would be. I mean, I never understand that. The majority of fans traveling to other cities to watch their team are always really well behaved. You're always probably going to get one bad egg, but you can't. You can't
yeah, but
set your day up like
that's
that.
not a football fan problem.
No, no, not at
That's
all.
just
That's
a
just
that's
life.
a yeah that's an yeah a
You
drip
always will get
problem.
a wronging. But yeah, I also saw the last word vlog from that game that your channel does. And either everyone else on your channel is really, really small, or you had a very strange camera angle because you looked like an absolute giant of a man on this video.
I think it's the former. Um,
You looked like a dad who'd taken his kids out and was like standing on the background, just letting them get on with it. And you got 10 minutes before we need to go. Just keep an eye that they don't do anything,
no,
wrong or
it's a very amusing observation, but no, I don't. I'm not. No, there was. I don't think there was a. It was the camera angle was fine. I was just stuck on the end as I usually do because I mean it probably would have looked even more so if I was stood in between Lee and Carl, who are very very short. I mean I'm only 6'4", so it's not like I'm Dan Burn levels of um, height, but I don't know. Yeah, I am the tallest in NFTV. Yeah.
Yeah, plenty of great content on there. Go and have a little watch. Shall we get into this episode?
Well, yes, and I will cue you up to share your topic this week as you chose it. Would you like to share with the listeners and viewers
I mean, I
what you
did it.
have chosen?
I did it 3 minutes ago before the banter train arrived in at the station. But I'll do
Did
it
you?
again. I'll repeat it. I did. I announced
Well,
it.
yeah. It's in
But
the business. When you're a professional broadcaster, it's called resetting for the audience.
it is. Okay. Thank you for that. Please do send me a guidebook to being the best broadcaster possible.
I mean, I've done it now for at least 2 months, so I'm essentially an expert.
Yep, and I hope it's going well. This week's topic is match-winning goals. It's another kind of broad topic. A lot of people will be thinking, is that like match-winning when Newcastle United being behind? Is that just a goal that has won a game? I mean, you could really be picking kind of any goal that's won a game, to be quite honest. I've gone for two in where Newcastle had to come from behind. No, I've gone for three actually, in which Newcastle had to come from behind. So I've gone down that route. What about you, Sam? Have you gone for a 1-0 win here or there? Have you gone for comebacks as well?
So, two are comebacks, but it kind of, again, I don't like to overthink these things, but I know you do. So, the kind of match-winning goals is kind of subject to interpretation somewhat, because you could say, for example, Tino Asprilla's third goal versus Barcelona. All right, it put us 3-0 up, but we win that game 3-2. So I assumed in your book that counts as a match-winning goal, whereas the likes of I don't know, Darren Peacock's versus Manchester United in the 5-0, again a match-winning goal, but I wouldn't really count that into this category.
No, and I did put it out on Twitter and asked people which goal they would be bringing to the island, and actually someone did say Philip Albert against Manchester United, but for me that doesn't quite fit into this category because that game
No,
was
I
already
agree.
won. Beautiful goal, but it's not a match-winning goal. And like if you're winning 2-1, but you've taken a 2-0 lead and then you conceded the goal, for me, I'm not sure if that's a match-winning goal. But it is all
Yeah,
open to interpretation. It's all about
that's
opinion. So I'm not going to
That's
tell anyone that they're
why
wrong.
that's why I didn't choose Tino Asprilla's third against Barcelona. I am in love with that goal, mainly because of Keith Gillespie, the run, the cross, the header from Tino. But yeah, it just doesn't feel right for
Mm.
this category.
No, I get that. I have a feeling that we might have one goal the same on this list. And I do think that actually, if you were asking people to do their top three as we are doing on this show, on this mini series, I think this goal would actually be in, I would say 99% of people's top three
Well,
goal to take on against Ireland.
I'm assuming we're thinking of the same one. And I've included it on mine. So should we just get that one out of the way?
Just do it. Let's see if we're right.
Craig Bellamy versus Feyenoord.
Yeah, without a question. I mean, where do you start? There's so many elements to that goal, to why it means so much, to why it's on our list. I mean, obviously we'll talk about the goal itself. Craig Bellamy tapping it in off the keeper after Kieran Dyer's shot was saved, and the keeper spilled it. And actually, Bellamy's quite fortunate in many ways. He's done what he can only do and put it back into the danger area, and the keeper's been unlucky and it's hit him and gone into the back of the net. But you've also got the commentary from John
Yeah,
Champion. That goes
yeah.
down in history. It's probably my most favourite bit of commentary. You've got the fact that it sent Newcastle United through to the next stage of the Champions League. Yeah, there's so many reasons to why
Making
this
history
goal.
with it as well, because they were the first team, as I was discussing with Nick Ostabazas on my podcast yesterday, which is out on all audio platforms the day we record this on Thursday. We made history that season. No team had ever got through the group phase after losing their first three games. Of them first three games, we lost to Feyenoord at home. I think it was the second match day. We'd gone to Kiev and lost. And then we lost at home to Feyenoord, which is really disappointing. Really disappointing. And then we got obviously Del Piero'd in Turin. And then to come back from that, needing not just ourselves to win all three games, but needing kind of a special set of circumstances as well results to fall in our favour. Going 2-0 up in Rotterdam against Feyenoord that night, and you think, oh, get in, this is done. And then Bombarder and Lurling scored for Feyenoord, as I seem to recall. And just the up and down emotions of that whole entire game. I mean, the up and down of emotions just when Dyer breaks through, and you think, yes, he's going to score. Keeper saves it, and then you're right back in rock bottom again. And then Bellamy and it hits it in off the keeper as well. Just the kind of wave of emotions in a split second, let alone the whole 90 minutes, is just incredible. And I think you're right. 99.9% of people would have this in their three.
I imagine actually a lot of people probably didn't see the goal go in, because as soon as Dyer's effort's been saved, I imagine there was hands over eyes, people behind sofas, and then it's in the back of the net. Because you're right, when that shot was initially saved from Dyer, you're so down, and then thankfully Bellamy comes to the rescue. But yeah, the game itself was so entertaining. I mean, Feyenoord had the chance to go through it. They managed to get a third goal. Thankfully, they didn't. But I always remember the line of when Feyenoord scored their first. John Champion says, "Oh, Newcastle United, be
Be
careful."
careful, yeah.
So that is
And
one
we
of my
were.
favourite lines of commentary. And
It
Newcastle
was
United
brilliant
just
as well because, like, when a commentator, obviously, sometimes when broadcasting and commentating and whatnot, when your voice kind of breaks and does a little squeak, it's often embarrassing, but sometimes it really enhances things. And when John Champion's voice breaks, when he goes, "It's in," it just adds so much to it, and it's brilliant. And it was on ITV2 that night as well, wasn't it? And as soon as the final whistle went and they crossed straight over to Kiev versus Juventus as well, because that was in like the last minute of stoppage time to see if the score would stay the same for us to go through. It was just brilliant. I remember that night so vividly, watching it at home with my mum in my council flat in Newport, Shropshire. It's one of the very, very few games that I remember vividly watching at home. Just so memorable, and just incredible team, incredible manager, incredible commentary, incredible moment. This is just. I'm assuming this is made yours, and we've matched this as long
Oh
as.
yeah, without a doubt, it
Yeah.
was always going to be on the list. When I came up with this category, it was the first one that came into my mind. And I spoke to John Champion about this game not too long ago, and he said in the interview, "I have to tell you, I hate listening to that clip. I love the moment, but I just cringe when I hear it. It's because, as you say, it's when his voice breaks, and he doesn't like to hear that." But he says, "If I'm in Newcastle, people want to talk about various moments over the years, and that's one above all others that they want to talk about in terms of commentary. Yet if there was one Newcastle commentary I'd love to be able to redo, it's that one without the voice breaking." So, we're sitting here celebrating and
Yeah,
remembering
no,
and reminiscing.
I think it enhances it.
Yeah, no, so do I. But it's just funny that he's saying, he'd love to re-record it, to redo it. I'm like, no, because that makes part of the night so special. That goal, so memorable. Is John Champion's commentary there? So yeah, really nice to speak to him. I'll put the link to the article in the comments, so you can go and have a little read of it if you wish. But it was a really nice opportunity to chat to him about one of my favorite games. So perhaps no surprise it's made the list that we both have here, Sam. I'll let you go with. Go on, sorry.
Well, John Champion often did many of our Champions League games that season because we were always put on ITV2, weren't we? Because it was always like Man United or Arsenal that were put on ITV1 with Clive Tilsley. So it was always John Champion, and I think Guy Mowbray did one or two as well back in the day when he was at ITV. He did the Juventus game, which I don't think was live on ITV, but his commentary, Guy Mowbray's, because I've spoken to him about it on my podcast, so I now lead you on the name dropping stakes 2-1. Although I haven't had John Champion on mine, so might have to do something about that.
I just want to I just want to finish off on a second quote from John, and he says, "The mark of an experienced broadcaster in big moments is just to be unafraid to shut up and let the pictures tell the story and let the
Oh,
crowd do their thing. Yes, you shout and you holler when Bellamy does what he does, but hopefully you don't just continue talking, because for me, that would ruin it. You need to let it soak in. I didn't need to tell the viewer how wonderful or significant the Bellamy moment was. They knew. Anyone watching the game knew. So I didn't need to go into detail about what it means. I just needed to shout his name, and then the chaos of it all unfolded in front of our eyes. And that's the job done." And you couldn't sum
couldn't
it up better than that.
agree more if I tried, and that works in all sports. And that him saying that instantly reminded me of I went to Anthony Joshua versus Vladimir Klitschko at Wembley back when. And obviously one of the best sporting events I've ever been to. An amazing, amazing night of sport. And I come home and watch it back on various platforms. And during the ring walks, no, it's not a criticism in particular of Adam Smith because I think he's brilliant as well. But he talks all over the ring walks, and then I saw the American feed, and they just Mauro Ranello was the commentator there, did not say a word, and it was just so much better. Like obviously commentators are remembered on their famous lines or whatever, but no, like John, that quote you read out from John Champion there, knowing when to zip it is right up there as well, and letting the actual live action speak for itself.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. And I've spoken to quite a few commentators, and they all say a similar thing. Like, it's not about them, it's not about their words, really. It's about the moment in front of them. And I think I've spoken before about asking Matthew Raisbeck at Booty Ridge in Newcastle, how was he going to react the first time Newcastle United was a sellout after the COVID-19 pandemic? How are you going to, what are you going to say? What are you going to? And he said to me, well, everyone will be singing, everyone will be chatting, and it's one of those moments where actually I'll just shut up and let the sound around me do what it has to do, because you don't want to hear from me. You want to hear the terraces rocking for the first time in however long it was. And so yeah, good commentators do know when to be quiet. So I hope, Sam, in your new line of work, you're taking notes.
Well, the only commentary I do is on greyhound racings, which are pretty much all but done in 30 seconds. Most of my work is linking between other kind of sports and racing, but yeah, I'll bear that in mind. I think if I shut up for 25 seconds of a 30-second dog race, I might get into trouble.
What's your second pick then?
Alan Shearer versus Leicester, 96-97. It was all going swimmingly well. Then it went very, very wrong, and then as quick as it went wrong in stoppage time, Alan Shearer scored his first hat trick for Newcastle, and we won 4-3. It was an incredible topsy turvy game, and it was a big win in the end for Kenny Dalglish. And we did manage to finish second that season and secure playoff for a Champions League place, and it was mightily important after a real kind of again topsy turvy season. Again, it was one of those ones where the commentary from Martin Tyler made it again, and it's just I think that game's maybe not overlooked because it is still quite a famous game with Shearer getting his hat trick. But yeah, good game, crazy game, typical Newcastle entertainers game. But obviously King Kenny was at the helm by then, so it was probably one of the last few probably one of the last games of that entertainers era, you would say.
I mean, Robbie Elliott opened the scoring in the third
Yeah.
minute, and then Newcastle United were cruising until just before the hour mark when Matt Elliott scored, and then Steve Claridge. I remember his younger listeners might be left scratching their head thinking what, but he didn't know where the back of the net was.
Didn't
Steve
he?
Claridge.
I'm not sure if he probably doesn't still hold the record, but didn't he hold the record at one point for playing for the most clubs?
He did hold some sort of record like that. I don't know if that was the
Because
exact thing, but yeah, there was something like that. But he
he,
scored on the hour, and then
yeah,
Emil Heskey, who must have been just starting out,
yeah,
grabbed
but
the.
no, but yeah, but for people of a younger generation, like obviously Emil Heskey was kind of much maligned and was the source of a bit of fun being poked at him. For Leicester, Emil Heskey was absolutely phenomenal, lethal, burst on the scene, incredible. He was brilliant, and obviously earning that move to Liverpool. But yeah, we were 3-1 down, and then up stepped the world's most expensive player.
Do you know? Here's a little bit of trivia for you. Do you know who set up Emil Heskey's goal? It's a name that you will know, but who I just did not realise even played a part in this game. He was
Can I have more than one guess?
would you like some clues?
Can I have one guess and then give me a clue, and then I can have another guess?
Go on.
Steve Guppy.
No, not Steve Guppy. This person played for quite a few clubs. He's then gone on to manage quite a few clubs. I don't think he's ever managed in the Premier League. He did manage down the road at Sunderland. And his last job, I'm going to say, his last job was in the Indian Super League, but he's also managed Preston North End, Leeds United, Bradford City, and Blackpool, amongst others. Played for Leeds, Leicester, Aston Villa, Blackburn, and amongst other teams. Should I give you the name, or do you want to take a guess off those clues?
Simon Grayson.
There you go. Look at that. He set up a meal
Wasn't an obvious one, because my next guess before them clues would have been like Muzzy Is It.
Muzzy Is It. Well, there's a player and a half. I think Muzzy Is It would have been a very good pick in a fantasy football team if you were looking for a bargain.
Muzzy Is It. He is probably the Wilfred Zaha of the analog generation.
That is a wonderful comparison. Yes, but back to your goal, back to Shearer's winner. Very quick hat trick, wasn't it? Very quick hat trick. I mean, Leicester's goals came in the space of 8 minutes. That was an unbelievable turnaround, an unbelievable collapse by Newcastle United. But then Shearer's hat trick, first goal 77, second goal 83rd minute, and then the 90th minute for the winner. So that must be one of the quickest hat tricks on record, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't get talked about in that kind of breath, because it came late on, didn't it? So I remember was it Shearer's second goal, which was the free kick.
He actually just put his foot through it, didn't he?
Well, yeah, like I said on the Newcastle Fans TV reaction videos at the weekend, sometimes you just have to
Go on.
You know, well, no, because it was a swear word, and we're family friendly here at Reach PLC.
So I've just had a look there at the quickest hat tricks of all time. This is turning into a bit of trivia this week.
Fowler?
Do you want to have a go? Fowler is on there. Liverpool 3, Arsenal 0. He's actually second in the list, 94-95, at a time of 4 minutes and 33 seconds. But there's another player above him who went on to play for Liverpool, but actually got this record at the team before he joined Liverpool in a 6-1 victory over Aston Villa. A hat trick in 2 minutes and 56 seconds.
Was it Ricky Lambert?
No, Sadio Mane. And then you have Jermaine Defoe, Gabby Bonglaho, Ian Wright, and Andy Carroll for West Ham at 9 minutes and 50 seconds. So Shearer's, what we're looking at, about 30 minutes. So it doesn't make the record. Quite a way, actually, when you look at the rest of those tallies, those numbers, and those times. But yeah, wonderful hat trick, and quite surprising that it was his first for Newcastle actually.
Well, it was still his first season, wasn't it? And he had an injury as well, didn't he pick up a knock? Was it during or just after the 5-0?
Maybe, I don't know.
And that kept him out for a few weeks. But yeah, it was still his first season. Obviously, yeah, it is a bit of a surprise he didn't get more, because he only got 2 more in all competitions, didn't he? Sheffield Wednesday and Bayer Leverkusen.
Look at that. There's the trivia. But yeah, a wonderful way to win a game. Not really the Kenny Dalglish kind of style, but as Sam says, it was kind of the end days of the entertainers that we'd come to know under Kevin Keegan. But definitely, I think a comeback, a hat trick, a winning goal that will live long in the memory of Newcastle United fans.
Do you not remember Martin Tyler's commentary?
I don't. Are you going to remember? Go on, you remind me of it.
So for the free kick, it was a proper Tyler shouting "Shearer," and then for the winner, was it Rob Lee that crossed it in, and it was like a tap in for Shearer, and then Tyler was just like, "Newcastle have won it," And because it was like, stop. What minute was it again? That fourth goal went in.
90 minutes.
Yeah, stoppage time. So yeah, it was.
Yeah, I'm just
It's
looking at
worth
the
going
goal
back.
here,
I'm sure it's on
actually.
YouTube somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the goal here. Rob Lee is the man who crosses it. I mean, one thing you notice is that the pitch is an absolute disgrace.
It was
That's one thing that
90s.
springs to mind. But yeah, Shearer's actually it's Shearer's first goal is the free kick. The second goal is where he controls it on the edge of the box and he hits it through the defender's leg and into the far corner. You then have
That's right.
Rob.
Yes.
You then have Rob Lee breaking down the flank. He's got on the end of I can't quite tell who that is giving it to him, but yeah, he's broken down the right flank into the box, puts it at the back post, and Shearer taps home instantly, hand in the air, trademark celebration before the ball's even crossed the line, and he's running off to the corner of the Gallagher, the strawberry corner there with Daglish, giving Terry Mack a big hug. I think mostly in relief and some
Who was in goal for Leicester that day? Was it Casey Keller?
Yeah, I think it was. He's got the pants on. We've spoken about before, haven't we? The pants, the pants that he always used to wear in goal.
Right.
So it's Katie
I don't
Keller.
think that's a conversation we've had, but
No, we have, we definitely have. I will go back and I will find the clip.
I feel like that's something I'd remember.
Well, don't turn it into something.
Look, I'm here all day if you want to talk about 90s players like that. I mean, we've already mentioned Muzzy Izzet, and Steve Guppy was incredibly underrated. Had roots up in the northeast as well, didn't he? Of course, and yeah, I'm all for that.
Maybe we'll do an episode on your favorite 90s player in the months to come. But yeah, I will go now with my second pick. And it's Newcastle United 3, Everton 2, March 2019. And there's various reasons why this has gotten in, but the biggest reason is because Jordan Pickford made an absolute peep of himself at half time after saving a penalty that Matt Ritchie took. He should have been sent off because it was a rugby tackle on Solomon Rondon. Matt Ritchie, unfortunately, couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. Everton went into half-time 2-0 up. And Jordan Pickford, which he has done quite often. Now, I'm a big fan of Jordan Pickford in England. I think he's a very good goalkeeper.
Oh,
yeah, I do think he's a very good goalkeeper. I think he's had a bad start of this season, and I think it might even just get slightly worse for him. But
does
the one thing
nothing
I
for
wish he
me.
wouldn't do is just let it get into his head. And he walked off that pitch and he was gesturing towards Newcastle United fans who were being equally as rude to him as he left for the interval. But as a professional footballer, you just cannot let the fans get inside your head because inevitably what's going to happen is what happened and it will come back to bite you on the behind. And my goodness, it did. He had an absolute shock of a second half. I mean, the first half was bad enough. I mean, the penalty that he conceded was dreadful. The second half, goodness me. The Ayoze Perez goal that took it to 2-2, he was at fault. Miguel Almiron hit one from 20 yards? It swerved a little bit, but Pickford spilled it. Perez puts it in the back of the net. And then obviously you've got the third goal where Everton just could not clear their lines. But it's just a great moment where Pickford's got his head in his hands on the floor. The goal itself, it was a corner into the box. It was cleared. It was mishit back in, I think, by Kennedy, actually. The defence has moved out. Perez and Rondon have kind of stayed within the box. Rondon brings it down on his knee. Terrible, terrible attempt to control it. It falls to Perez, who just puts it in the back of the net from close range, runs off with his trademark celebration. Do you remember what it is? There we go. Fingers in the ears. And you've got Pickford wallowing head in hands. What a game. Absolutely fantastic comeback. And it made all the bit sweeter by the fact that Jordan Pickford was the goalkeeper who conceded 3 goals and was at fault for at least 2 of them, you would argue, and should have been sent off as well. What are your memories of that day? Because that's one of my favourite days at St James's Park.
Yeah, I wasn't there that day. I was at work. If Everton would have subbed Pickford off at half time, they'd have won that game.
Yeah, I think so.
Like you say, you like him for England. He does nothing for me, never has, and that's nothing to do with the Sunderland bias. I just think if were I a centre half with him behind me, he would do my head in. You're supposed to be like we were speaking with Nick Ostabazas yesterday. He said the goalkeeper is the most important position on the pitch because it can affect the whole team, as we saw when Nick Pope's missing, particularly for the Carabao Cup final. Yeah, I just think he's a whopper, and I don't think he's. I know he's got a lot of caps and he's had his moments for England, and of course, for international tournaments for England, yes, of course, I've supported him for it because you do. Just how he's in the same kind of breadth as the likes of David Seaman and all of those guys is just beyond me. Just what a tit! Just ridiculous.
It's his attitude more than anything. I don't like it when he did it towards the end of last season when I think Everton were maybe winning 1-0 but they were really getting hit from every possible angle, and he's jumped up, he's collected the ball, and he's gone down onto his stomach, and then he's done that thing where he smiled and stuck his tongue out, and it's like that's not for me. I don't like that. I like
And that's how because he attracts attention. And this is, again, I'm sure I've mentioned it on this podcast before, that Nick Pope, when he does it, because he does, but he's so understated. The way he does it and goes about the exact same kind of tomfoolery that Pickford does, but Nick Pope is so understated at it, he gets away with it. Whereas Pickford just brings everything onto himself, attracts attention, and it just does him no favours whatsoever. I mean, he cost Everton the derby for that Origi goal.
Yeah. He's got a few clangers in his wardrobe. I mean, we don't want to admit this into a.
I know all goalkeepers have, but it's his own doing. It's not like one's crept through your legs or it's escaped out your gloves. It's you trying to be a clever so and so, and it come back and bit you in the backside, like I said. And that game was the epitome of that. It should have been dismissed. To bring down Rondon, who's a tank, like teams. Well, I remember in that team going to Wolves away, as it was last week, as it was, and watching Rondon play there. They'd stick 2 men on him, and Rondon would still win the ball. So to bring him down,
Quite honestly, it's one of the weirdest and worst decisions that I have seen. Now, obviously, VAR was not part of the game back then, but goodness me, I mean,
thankfully, because I'm sure Perez's winner was a bit offside.
well, we're going to get to that in a second, but he rugby tackles Rondon at the floor after actually dropping the ball as well. Like, again, it's one of his own mistakes, and somehow did not get sent off. But yes, you are right. The goal that we're talking about, the goal that I'm talking about, is probably offside. Most certainly offside. Marco Silva, now in charge of Fulham, who Newcastle United will have played the day before you listen to this, because it's going to come out on Sunday, so hopefully Newcastle picked up all 3 points. But Marco Silva, then in charge of Everton, said when they scored the third goal, it was a big mistake by the assistant. It was a clear offside. If you see the image, it's not just 1 or 2 players in the offside position. There were 5 Newcastle United players in the same line in an offside position. It's 2-2 for us at that moment. It was a big frustration. Imagine when they scored the third goal in a clear offside position. Looking back, though, yeah, I can see he's pointing a little bit, but hey, we'll
Karma
take
is
it.
a bee. Karma is a bee. So
That's my second pick. Brilliant afternoons in James Park. Brilliant comeback. And yeah, do you know what as well? A little bit of redemption for Iosi Perez, because he wasn't everyone's favourite.
no, but he was blossomed. That little trio there of Perez, Rondon, and Almiron. That was for where we were at that time. That was blossoming. That had.
He started this season in blistering form for Villarreal as well. 3 goals
Good.
in his
Good.
I was always a big fan of Perez. I think for what he
2
cost
million.
Newcastle United and what he always gave his all, and he finally found that form towards the end of his time, and went off to Leicester, where it obviously didn't end probably how he imagined it. But he did win the FA Cup, did he? He did.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he got a trophy. He got the Spain squad recently as well. So a wonderful goal for him.
Perez Hosselu. That was weird.
Who would have thought it? Come on then. Let's hear your next pick.
Well, speaking of Perez, who went from Newcastle to Leicester, a man who did the reverse to go from Leicester to Newcastle is Harvey Barnes. Obviously scored 2-2. Was incredibly unlucky to be dropped for the Wolves game, which he scored the winner. But last season, I don't think this game is spoken about. You froze.
You froze.
You froze, mate, not me.
Right. Do me a favor. Just start again with that introduction from one player.
Yeah. Okay.
So let me just mark it down. Yeah. Go on. 1, 2.
So speaking of Iosi Perez, who went from Newcastle to Leicester, a player in which did the opposite, went from Leicester to Newcastle, was Harvey Barnes, who scored 2-2. Was incredibly unlucky to be dropped for that Wolves game, and where he came on and scored a winner, which made me pull a face on the internet. Last season, the West Ham game, I don't think it spoke about often enough or given the kind of credit it deserves, that comeback of a game, because we were gone. We were absolutely gone, and it was awful. And it was around that time where there was kind of murmurings on social media about the form of the team, and not questions were being asked about Eddie Howe, but there was questions about questions. Kind of, will there be questions be asked about Eddie Howe if this form and this defensive kind of, we were conceding a lot of silly goals, particularly away from home. Take an early lead, didn't we, for a penalty, which Isaac converts, and then it just all went horribly, horribly wrong. Lascelles went off with his ACL, and I remember it was ridiculous as well. I was in the Gallagher that day, and we'd already had the Ferrari with Botman's ACL, and how that was mismanaged. And then a stretcher was coming on for Lascelles to take him off. They order it back, and they make Lascelles play on with an ACL for a couple of minutes, and then of course he had to be replaced. Just unbelievable. Kraft came on right back and was awful, and we suddenly were 3-1 down, weren't we? It was 3-1.
I think that third goal that came because of Kraft's mistake. He was just getting settled in the game. He was out of position. He didn't seem to really know what he was doing. It was just, I think it was just unfortunate.
It was just absolute shambles. I like Kraft, superb in Shearer's absence. I see him more as a right-sided centre half now as I do right back. That game kind of was the nail in the right back coffin for me for Kraft. That was him done. He was playing far, far too narrow, and he actually went off. And if he hadn't, whether he picked up a knock or that was the kind of story afterwards, but whether he did or not, I'm not so sure. Maybe it was kind of them trying to save face that he subbed off a sub kind of thing. He was awful. If he hadn't gone off, we wouldn't have won that game. And Harvey Barnes, a frustrating season injury wise for him, kind of had that glimpse, didn't he, when he came back and rescued a home draw in that crazy game against Luton. There was rumblings of discontent at 3-1 down, and you kind of sit to yourself and you think, how can we carry on defending like this and nothing is done, kind of thing. It was, had we went on to lose that game badly, as if we were going to do, because West Ham were singing "Stand up, sit down if you're 3-1 down," which incredibly inventive, rhyming down with down. But it was turning into an absolute horror show. But then, like we do, we just pull it out the fire. Gordon wins a penalty from the Yorkshire pudding, Calvin Phillips, and then Harvey Barnes, moments of magic, and then 4-3. Stand up if you 4-3 up. Just incredible.
I mean, I think when that second goal went in, so when Isaac scored the penalty, you felt it turn in the stadium. You felt like something was about to happen. Then Barnes gets his goal. Wonderful pass from Isak through the middle. Barnes
Yeah.
makes the run. A lot of people say, he doesn't really do anything other than be on the flank. But he can hold his line. He knows what he's doing. He makes some clever runs, and that's an example of it. Wonderful finish. And then the winning goal. I mean, look, the goal against Wolves last week was special. It was a really nice strike, but for me, this one is even better. Like, one touch into the middle, bang, from a bit more of a distance out as well. It's a wonderful, wonderful finish. One of my favourite goals of the last couple of years or so. And it was just the perfect way to win that game, especially, like you say, from where Newcastle United had found themselves, all the outside noise, and then to come back in such a fashion as well. And I was really pleased for him. And it's the same reason I'm really pleased from the last couple of games where he scored against Spurs. He scored here. Is because he's got his critics and he's got questions over the price tag, and people see that he's been out injured and he's missed a lot of games. It's an absolute load of nonsense. He had a bad season last season with injury, a freak injury, but every time he gets his opportunity, he often more than not proves his worth, and he wins Newcastle United games. And if all he does is score absolute worldies, that's what I'm here for.
Yeah, his numbers are always really good, aren't they? Interestingly, before he got that winner at Wolves, he didn't do a great deal.
No, but I don't care.
Yeah, no, that's what the point is I'm about to make, is that he has moments, and moments win matches, and he wasn't doing a vast amount of Wolves. He wasn't keeping up with the press, but then the way he drifts in from the left. And I know when Gordon has to switch, you lose so much of Gordon's kind of game, because seeing him back on the left for England, all right, the opposition weren't overly clever, but to see him get his chance for England on the left and playing really well, unlucky not to score, it made you realise how much of his game, of Gordon's game, we had to sacrifice by sticking him out on the right against Spurs. But then you look at Barnes, the way he cuts in, opens his body up, and then you just know exactly where it's going to go, but the opposition cannot do a thing about it. Yeah, it's mesmerising.
And I get it, because Aaron Stokes makes the same point you've made there about him not really doing much, but then he has that moment. But I think Berbatov never really did much, but he would then score a goal out of nowhere. And I actually think back to Alan St-Maximin, who, in the eyes of some, probably did a bit more defensive work than Harvey Barnes did. But for me, he never had that end product. Never. That's why,
Well,
I
he did
wasn't.
on the same ground.
Well, yes, but the point being is that, I
Not
think Harvey
often enough.
Barnes, has shown more in the brief times we have seen him when he's been fit. And look, I'm just happy we've got a winger who wants to shoot on goal, who's not afraid to take a shot.
Yeah, especially that Wolves game as well, because I think particularly in the first half, where we should have been one, maybe two up. After that, we were trying to walk it in. It was that old archetype of Wenger's Arsenal. We were trying to
Yeah.
walk it in, and it just wasn't working, and it was never going to. Up until Shearer's goal, I said to Carl of NFTV, who I was stood next to, I said to him, we could be playing here till next Saturday and we ain't scoring. It was going to take, sometimes you just have to thwack it. And that's what we did. Trying to walk it in just wasn't working as well, especially after Isak went off and Gordon have to go through the middle, which I don't really enjoy. But yeah, Barnes has these moments, and his numbers, his stats back that up, and he has tremendous goal involvements, which is why he was bought and Maxi was sold.
Yeah. And hopefully more to come. And by the time you guys have listened or watched this, hopefully he's netted a couple against Fulham. I will go. That was your final pick, wasn't that?
That was,
three
yeah.
now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a flip of a coin, really, for me, this third one, because I've got two written down, and one I was there. So that's why it maybe gets the edge above the other one I've got written down. But the other one was it was a better goal. It was a sunny afternoon on Tyneside. I mean, I was on holiday, so I was a bit good to miss it. And it was just a really nice way to win a game. So I don't really know which one to pick. I mentioned to the one that I was there for, although I don't think it's as great as the one that I wasn't there for. But I'll go for the one. I'll talk you through the one that I wasn't there for first, Sam, and you can see what you think. So it was Newcastle United 2, Leicester City 1. You were there, if I remember correctly.
I was front row. You can see me
Uh,
on Bruno's
yeah,
goal.
April 2022. 22. 95th minute, Bruno Guimarães. Matt Target clears the ball. Willock picks it up midway in his own half. Absolutely bombs down the left. Runs into the box. His cross takes a slight deflection. Yeah. Bruno flying header for his second goal of the game into the back of the net. Cue absolute chaos. Wonderful sunny afternoon on Tyneside. And what I love about the goal is that you can, when Willock picks the ball up, Bruno is in line with them. And Bruno has just given everything to get into the box with Willock. You've also got Joe Linton being wrestled off the ball just as he goes out a shot, which is quite a funny moment. And then the celebrations were just absolutely fantastic. It was a beautiful counter-attacking goal. Real quality. Okay, the cross was pretty poor. An element of luck there, but and just to see Bruno leaving nothing behind to make sure he's there to win that game, absolutely fantastic.
Well, I don't think you're giving a big enough shout out for Matty Target, to be honest, because he wins that ball back on our touchline. 9 times out of 10, 95th minute, you've got the point. You just whack it up, or you just put it out for a throw. No, beats his man, gives it to Willock, and you go for a last gasp counter attack. I love that. Love that. Because had he done the former and not bothered, no one would have really bat an eyelid. The final whistle would have gone 30 seconds later, and that was it. Decent enough point at home. We're safe now. We're not going down. Job's a good one. But no, that desire and will to win and, beat a man, give it to Willock, who made that amazing run. Bruno to keep up with him, who'd already scored thanks to the help of VAR. Yeah, crap cross, but luckily it gets deflected and it lands flush on Bruno. Said, yeah, I was. If you go back and see that goal, you can see me front row of the Gallagher there, celebrating.
They're the
great
reason
day.
to go and watch it.
Great
That
day,
win
great weekend.
put the Magpies on 37 points, 12 clear of the relegation zone, and 3 behind Leicester, who were in 9th. And Leicester had actually gone on a 5-game unbeaten run heading into this game. So I don't think people thought it was necessarily a certain Newcastle United were going to win.
No,
that
it
game.
was a tough game. We went 1-0 down, didn't we?
And after the game, he said, "I'm so happy for today. It's always been my dream to play in the Premier League. I want to be a legend here." Has he become a legend?
He's well on his way, isn't he? Interestingly enough, that day he was playing on the right-hand side of the midfield 3 as well, which I want to see happen again.
Yeah. Well, it's maybe a topic for another day, but I have been thinking about that actually. Who's suited best where?
I think it's worth giving Tonali a go in the middle and Bruno on the right. I really do.
Yeah. No, I share that. The other one that I had written down, and the one that I was kind of edging towards simply because I was there that day, was
Will it be the
Newcastle
same
United.
as the one that come in fourth for me? Go on.
Newcastle United 1, Chelsea 0, January 2020.
Oh,
Isaac Hayden in the 94th minute. And to be quite frank, it wasn't a great game. Chelsea
it was terrible.
top.
You've glided over that. No, it was one of the worst games of football. Steve Bruce was our manager then. Frank Lampard was in charge of Chelsea, wasn't he? It was horrific. It was minging. It was an absolute. The game stunk.
And it had that kind of Christmas lull feeling, didn't it? It was January, it was dark, it was cold, it was kind of, when the feeling amongst January when all the celebrations are stopped. Yeah, I mean, Chelsea had the better chances. Dubravka made a decent save. Matt Ritchie pulled one off the line. And then Newcastle get a corner. And I kind of think it summed up Newcastle's performance in that game. The corner just got cleared straight away. It was a dreadful delivery, but Maxi picks the ball up. And do you know what? He does something in that moment that he very rarely did. He didn't jink. He didn't try a little trick. He just put the ball in the box. Very simple. Very Harvey Barnes-esque, actually. And there was Isaac Hayden, who I think pretty much just closed his eyes and just hoped it hit his head. It hit his head, back of the net, runs off to the corner of the Gallagher and the Milburn stands, and then Matt Ritchie follows him over, gives the corner flag a bit of a kick, and it strikes the man in the crown jewels. But I would say that man would argue that it was worth the pain to see
worth
Newcastle
taking one in the gentleman's agreement. Yeah,
I mean that would have hurt. That would have hurt.
Yeah,
but I mean, what a way to win a game. The celebration obviously will go down in history, maybe for all the wrong reasons. But I think just because it had been such a poor game, it was just a beautiful, dramatic way to win to win the game.
What we had to do in that time, really, wasn't it? It's a bit of smash and grab. That wasn't my fourth, but that was kind of one of my unlucky losers. Yeah, really good. My other one was Sunderland 0, Newcastle 1, Ryan Taylor over the wall.
Yeah.
I don't need really to explain it, do I? That was just the kind of one that just missed out for me.
Well, I've got a list from other people who've kindly got to me on Twitter. We've got Rob saying Alan Shearer versus Everton, the volley, his best goal.
Yeah.
We've got Davey saying Alan Shearer versus Spurs in the FA Cup semi-final, which is one of my favourite Alan Shearer goals. Mark McGee, last-minute winner in the 5-4 comeback victory against Leicester in 1990. Just watch that goal, actually. It's a really nice goal. Good control, turn and hit. Gets Bayer against Zagreb in the Champions League qualifier is another one coming from Rob. Not technically a winner, but 2-2 on the night, 4-3 on aggregate. Fabian shares right foot, says Sean Longstaff's winner in the FA Cup final 2025. I will take that, most certainly. We've got King Kev's first goal against QPR. Gale, last minute versus Norwich, has come up quite a few times, actually, the 4-3
that was crazy,
victory.
wasn't it?
I think they scored twice in stoppage time.
Yeah.
We've got
that was probably the turning point of the season as well, actually.
Third goal in the Pardew year when we beat Manchester United and Jones got the own goal. Goal itself is a bit rubbish, but it's his desperation.
Also wasn't a winning goal.
Dean says Liam O'Brien over the wall against Sunderland.
Yeah.
We've got someone saying Isak's assist for Murphy, his goal against Everton. David Kelly versus Portsmouth, which is arguably the most important goal in Newcastle United's history, really.
Yeah. We could have had Dabizat as well against Sunderland.
Supermac versus Burnley for the older listeners. Diarmi versus Brighton, the one where it hits his heel.
Wasn't a winning goal, it was an equalising goal. Wasn't a winning goal, it was an equalising goal. Perez got the winner.
Atsu was the ball in the box, wasn't it? And it hit it flicked.
Atsu was the one that got the assist. God bless him. For Diarmi's goal.
So plenty of options, and again, it shows you the kind of the broad scope of the category that we've picked. What is a winning goal? But thank you very much for getting in touch with your picks. Do let us know any topics that you want me and Sam to cover. The email address is theaibwpodcast@reachplc.com. We do like hearing from you guys. But this has been episode 9 of Just Take 3, and the category this week has been winning goals. We hope you've enjoyed it. Get into the comments, hit subscribe, give a thumbs up. If you listen on the audio channel, thank you as always. Leave us a rating and review. And for myself and Sam, we'll see you guys next week for episode 10.
Cue the smooth jazz.
Thank you very much. We'll see you guys soon.